Karen is about to talk to us about what she has learned from going viral. What is it? Over 50 million video views, at like big viral campaigns with Beats by Dre, and the It's a Small World campaign was one of my favorites. I ended up buying the Rico Theta off of that. So I'm a user. Karen, can you hop on screen? Do you have video?
Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, doing great. Thanks so much for joining us and making the time work and all that stuff. I will let you just take it away and show us the secrets.
Great, I'm gonna go ahead and share screen and present. You let me know if this is working. 1 second.
That's a lot of books on the shelf behind you. Marketing books?
Oh, some of them are probably, yeah.
I recognize it.
Let's see, I got my screen shared. Keynote, okay. Can you guys see that okay?
Looks great, you're full screen.
Okay, awesome. Well, then I will get right into it. So I got my start making viral videos completely by accident. And the first viral video that I made was an accident. And I was actually working for Microsoft at the time. And I had been there for 3 years. And when I left, I sang this goodbye song to my coworkers. And it was a pretty nice song. There was nothing particularly controversial about it. So I didn't anticipate that it would go viral, but it did. And I underestimated the power of the headline, "Microsoft employee quits with song." So TechCrunch picked it up, and then a bunch of other tech publications started picking it up. Now, I left Microsoft to join a company called Exec. Okay, so the name of the startup that I joined was called Exec. And I got to see firsthand just how much reporters start to twist their facts. This was back in 2012, so this is before kind of we all woke up to fake news. And I got to see how reporters all sort of twist their facts and headlines get twisted, because soon the headlines were saying, "Exec sings goodbye to Microsoft." So according to the internet, I was 23 years old and a Microsoft executive. I thought this was so entertaining and interesting, and also a little mortifying, because now I was most famous for being a quitter on the internet. And so I did think it was so interesting how news spreads and how things go viral. And this was the first time that I was, sort of the center of the news story, and seeing how quickly things could spread on the internet was interesting to me. And so I wondered if I could make the videos go viral on purpose. And so the next video that I made was a video that I made on purpose. And so Derek, this is a video that I normally play. It's about 2 minutes long. Do you want me to go ahead and play it? I'm not sure how well it's going to work, or do you want me to just kind of like quickly describe it and then
go ahead check your audio controls. You can actually set it to same as system for the microphone, and then it will pick up the audio.
Okay, I'm just not going to worry about that. So if you guys want to look at the video, you can look it up. It's called "Girl Learns to Dance in a Year." It's a video of me learning how to dance over the course of a year. In the beginning, I'm quite awkward. Day 1, day 30, day 60, slowly I get a little less awkward. And then by day 365, I do a performance for my dancing at the end. And so if you want to check that out, you can just Google "Girl Learns to Dance in a Year." And so since then, so that video also went viral at 10 million views. And since then, I've continued to make many videos, and a lot of them just for fun, a lot of dance videos, but also for clients. And the videos that I've made now have over 500 million views. And I've had a chance to work with some really amazing clients through all this. And through making all these videos, I've learned a lot in how to get people's attention, how to keep people's attention with video. And this is something that is becoming increasingly hard and increasingly competitive, because we have this interesting formula where there is infinite real estate on the internet. And so there's always going to be more things competing for our attention, but there is only 24 hours in a day for every person. And so any marketer's ability to stand out and to get people's attention, and that being with video being the best way to create an emotional connection with someone. So your ability to differentiate and to be able to get and keep people's attention with video is one of your most important skills as a marketer. And so today I am going to share some lessons learned from making these viral videos, and I'm going to share 10 tips to make videos that people actually want to watch. So the first thing that I do, for tip number 1, the first thing that I do before I do anything else is I always write the headline first. Never underestimate the power of the headline. Just think about how many times you have scrolled through your feed and just read the headline and felt like you more or less got the gist of something. Before I shoot footage, before I email reporters, before I even write the script, I will write a bunch of headline options because that will inform the entire rest of the piece. And if you can write a good headline, if you can write something that can get people's attention, then you know that the whole concept of the piece is something that could potentially stand out. So whenever you are creating a piece of content, think about not just what the concept is, but what would the end headline be? And I'll get into this a little bit later, but we also, these days we will write 10 headlines and we'll actually test them. So writing headlines is the first step. Tip number 2 is to understand what emotions make people share. And if you're on your social media of choice, think about when you would press like, when you would comment, or when you would actually share something. Usually, if you are sharing something versus just liking or commenting, you are feeling a more intense emotion. And there are certain emotions that spread really well, and there are certain emotions that don't spread as well. So the emotions that spread well, these are awe, anger, and amusement. So awe, if you're in awe of something, anger and amusement. And the emotions that don't spread as well are sadness and feeling content. And even though you may be very deeply, intensely sad, what is the difference between these two sets of emotions, awe, anger, and amusement, versus sadness and contentment? Awe, anger, and amusement are all high arousal emotions. These are emotions that give us energy. These are extroverted emotions, and these are emotions that when we experience them, we want to tell someone about it, and so we hit the share button. Whereas sadness and contentment, you may be deeply sad or deeply content. These are more introverted emotions. These are emotions, if you're deeply sad, you might want to curl up in bed. So whenever you're creating a piece of content, if your goal is to get people to talk about it and to get people to share, think about how you can target a combination of either awe, anger, or amusement, or some combination of those. Tip number 3. So tip number 3 is take it till you make it. I'm going to share a video, like about 10 seconds of a video that I made. The audio may or may not play. It doesn't matter if it does or not. I'm going to share this video not because it's a particularly great video, but because I'm almost certain that it would not have gone viral had I not done just tons of marketing for it. And so I think it's just a great example of marketing. So I'm going to play this video, this next video. It is called Donut Selfie. Okay, so this video came out when the iPhone 6 came out. And so I made this thing called How to Do the Donut Selfie. And basically just you take an iPhone, put it on slow-mo, put it around your head, and it looks like it's doing this cool matrix bullet time effect. And it did go viral. It was on America's Next Top Model. It was on Good Morning America. Someone even spent their wedding day doing it. People did it all around the world. And Cosmopolitan, after 48 hours, wrote this article, "Behold the donut selfie, the insane new selfie trend that's going viral." Okay, how did this thing spread? So when Cosmo wrote this article, the insane new selfie trend that's going viral, actually, here's my secret, is that probably only like 10 people at that time had ever done the donut selfie. So they write this headline. So how did this happen? So what I did was I didn't, just create this video and put it out there and email some reporters and say, hey, here's this video that I made. Instead, I emailed reporters and I said, hey, here's this new trend. Here's this new thing, selfie trend, that people are doing. And it's true because I had gotten like 3 of my friends to do this donut selfie. So it was me and 3 friends, but I could email reporters and truthfully say, hey, here's this thing that people are doing. And then the reporters, of course, they love to sensationalize things. And by that time, I'd gotten like a handful more people. And even though there's only been a handful of people, the reporters will say the insane new selfie trend that's going viral because, of course, as we know, they want clicks and they want traffic on their article. And so this is really the power of fake it till you make it. You can really create your own social momentum and create your own social proof. Don't lie, but create your own momentum and use reporters' desires to kind of sensationalize things to your advantage. So at this point, Donut Selfie had been out for about a week. It got up to about 1 million views. And that was when Beats by Dre reached out to me. And so Beats by Dre, I get this email from them. And they say, hey, Karen, we would love to send you a pair of headphones. And so I ask like, oh, what would you like in exchange for the headphone? Thinking they probably want me to make some sort of like influencer video, and they say, oh, no obligation. We'll just send them to you. And then 24 hours later, I have like overnighted to me the headphones and they're texting me to say, hey, did you get the headphones? Can we meet Sunday afternoon? And so Sunday afternoon, I walk in this bar and it turns out I am sitting in front of the VP of marketing of Beats. And he's like, here, sign this NDA. So I sign their NDA and they pull out these storyboards that have my face on them. And they say, we want to make Donut Selfie our global holiday campaign. And my mind was completely blown because at that time, I did not work in advertising. I had never made a single ad. I was in a completely different career. I was a designer at that time. And I was just making these videos for fun. And they said, yeah, we want to make it our global holiday campaign. And I was like, for this holiday season, because it's already like November. And they're like, yes, for this holiday season. And so really quickly in like 2 weeks, they pulled together this incredible ad campaign that had the Kardashians in it, Nicki Minaj in it, Serena Williams was in it. I'll play for you a brief clip. This premiered on the Thanksgiving Day football game. So that is the power of fake it till you make it. You can go from a fun video on the internet to a global ad campaign. So I'm going to keep going on to tip number 4. And let's talk about the number 1 mistake that brands make. I would say that a company like Apple or Beats by Dre is very good at not making this mistake. So the most common mistake that I do see brands make, now that I work with so many brands, since this is my career now, I've since changed careers into making advertising. The most common mistake that I see brands make is that for every piece of content, they try really hard to make themselves look good, which makes sense. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But people don't look at ads or share ads because you made yourself look good. They will look at or share your ad or talk about it because you make them look good, either by using the product or by talking about the ad. And so tip number 4 is to make other people look good, make your customers look good, make your consumers, your viewers look good, as opposed to just focusing on making your own stuff look good. And this is my litmus test oftentimes for good creative. And so oftentimes clients will come to me and they'll say, oh, hey, we've got this idea, to make our product look really epic. But that is not why someone is going to share something. They will share your ad or they will share a piece of content from you if by sharing it, they get to look good by comparison. And so I always apply this litmus test to any piece of creative that I have. And you may say, well, that's all well and good for Apple or Beats by Dre. They have naturally sexy looking products. And Apple and Beats both understand this. They make sure that, the white earbuds pop. They make Beats by Dre, it's not about the sound quality. It's about the iconic look on your head. But what if I don't have a sexy product? Most of us do not have sexy products. So what can you do about this? How can you still make other people look good? It turns out you can still do this. And I'm going to give you an example of a very unsexy product, which is a tax product. And so Credit Karma. Credit Karma is a company that is used by 1/3 of Americans. And they came out recently with their new free tax filing software. And they asked me to come up with a video to announce the launch of their tax software. And they wanted to go viral. So it's quite a tall order to make a viral video about taxes. But we actually made a video that performed quite well. I'm going to share it with you. And this really goes to the principle of how do you make other people look good. So in the UK, so filing taxes in the US, we all know is a pain. But in many other countries in the world, the UK is one of them, filing taxes actually is done for you automatically. The government just calculates, how much you owe, and it's just automatically withheld. And if you think about it, why don't we have that system in the US? Because you send your, if you have an employer, if you're salaried, you send your tax forms to the IRS, but your employer also sends those same numbers to the IRS. So the IRS already knows how much money you're making. So why are you having to do all this complex filing of taxes? Well, it turns out one of the reasons is because there is actually massive tax lobbying by companies like Intuit and TurboTax, who have these quote unquote free tax filing softwares, but they actually charge fees when you go to step 20 and you're about to file your taxes, and they start to charge you. And so there's actually millions in lobbying to keep the tax system the way it is. And so we made a video about this called Filing Taxes in the US versus the UK. And so what this does is it hits on an emotion that that makes people share. This hits on the emotion of anger, which, by the way, a lot of brands are afraid to target the emotion of anger. But it can work, especially if you are solving a problem in an industry that is broken and there is natural anger at the problems in that industry. You can make a video about the problems in that industry and get people talking and get that anger element. And so we released this right before tax time, right when people were really angry about this. And then with it, we announced the free Credit Karma tax product. And so if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to support these companies that are lobbying to keep this tax system as it is, then you can instead opt to file your taxes for free with Credit Karma. So we created this video and it did quite well. You can see it has 13 million views. It has 117,000 reactions and 87,000 shares. Not bad for a video about taxes. So it is possible. You can make something really interesting out of something boring. And this is an example of something that does not necessarily just make Credit Karma look good, but it makes the viewer look good for sharing it. What that means is it makes the viewer look interesting or clever or in the know. Like if you can allow your customers to share some interesting piece of content, then they will look smart, and that makes them look good. So however can you make them look interesting or smart or have some useful piece of information so they can signal that status in their social networks? So this is a great example of that. The next tip is to get really good at camouflage. And so what I mean by this is, for our ads, we actually optimize our ads to not look like ads. We optimize for each platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. For each platform, you want to make your ad look like the other things on that platform that aren't ads. And the reason for that is because when it doesn't look like an ad, first of all, people are going to be more willing to watch it. Second of all, every second that someone watches your ad a little bit longer, certain networks, certain ad networks like Facebook actually interpret that as a positive sign that this is a good ad. And they will give you lower CPVs. They'll give you so basically, they'll charge you less to run the same ad, sometimes a lot less, whenever you have a high engaging ad. And so this video that we made, filing taxes in the US versus UK, it actually almost got cut. So Credit Karma actually almost never wanted to run this because why? Look at it. It doesn't look particularly interesting. It's basically what looks like stock footage with some text overlaid on top. It doesn't look like what most epic ads you might imagine being on the Super Bowl being. But this ad wasn't designed to look like that. It wasn't designed to look like something that runs on TV. It is designed to look like something that runs on the Facebook feed. And if you go on the Facebook feed, you see things like this all the time. You see videos by media companies like Now This, Attention, or BuzzFeed, which are basically these simple pieces of footage, oftentimes stock footage, overlaid with gigantic text. That text is gigantic because this is running on mobile. And so whatever platform you are on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or wherever you are on, study what things are on that platform that aren't ads and create your videos to look in that same sort of style and format. So impressive, this octopus. So tip number 6 is don't fall in love with being creative. And I think this is a mistake that, you know, I have made over and over and over again. And I see so many other people making it too. Because ultimately, a lot of people who work in advertising, they wanted to be filmmakers, but they're stuck in advertising instead. I actually really enjoy advertising. But this is a common thing where people, they want to make something like really creative. And I see people coming up with these like epic creative concepts, and then they just don't perform well. And this is especially true in the last few years. And the reason for that is because the style of video that has worked has changed in the last few years. Even the last 4 or 5 years. So you used to be able to get a lot more mileage out of being creative. This was back in like 2012, 2013, when I started making viral videos. You used to be able to, you know, I would come up with some video, maybe it was like me learning to dance or some other concept that was reasonably creative. And then I would be able to get all these reporters to write about it. I would cold email 300 reporters, get them to write about it. And then I would get millions of views from the embeds, from the YouTube embeds. But that strategy doesn't work anymore because Facebook has eaten all of media. And now people experience videos not by clicking on articles and reading about the video there, but instead they experience it through their feeds, through their social media feeds, which means they're only going to give you a split second of their attention before they keep scrolling. The trouble with being creative, the difficulty with being creative, is that creativity takes time. Creativity takes time, which means you don't have that time to get to the point. Whereas tip number 7, truly you only have 1 second to make your point. If you can be visually creative in 1 second, awesome, do that. But if you've got this epic creative idea that's going to take like, you know, a minute to set up before you even get around to the punchline, people are probably not going to see that. Every time you open up a video on Facebook analytics and you see the retention graphs, you'll see the drop off is major for any video. Tip number 8 is expensive is not necessarily better. So we made these 2 videos for a 360 camera company. And one of them was quite expensive. We had all these 30 extras, aerialists, we went ziplining, had all these fancy scenarios. And it did not really perform particularly well. It got 500,000 views with poor engagement. And then we made another video, which I'll show you now, which on 0 budget, took about 30 minutes. This is the video. Literally me in Dolores Park with no speaking, just me showing the camera, not even a use case. This video ended up getting it has 14 million views, of which more than 12 million were organic, and over 100,000 shares. And so this is, again, the point that, first of all, this video was just about free to make. And I think this blows people's minds because normally we're used to expensive things being better and working better. But in the world of video, things that are shot on the iPhone oftentimes perform better, not just 10% better, but sometimes 10x, 100x better. Because why? They don't look like ads. This looks like something a friend might shoot, or how a friend might tell you about it. Tip number 9 is to A/B test before you launch. Everything we do, we test. And oftentimes, companies, especially startups, are really good at A/B testing. They'll test like their landing pages, they'll test their UI, but one thing they oftentimes don't test is their videos. And this is because video comes from filmmaking, which is kind of an industry that's more based on art and storytelling rather than scientific testing. But testing is so important in 2019, especially when you only have a second to get people's attention. And so the things that we test most often are title, which is the headline, which is really important. Thumbnails, which is that split second that flashes for your viewer before the video starts. And the first 3 seconds of footage. All of these things are incredibly important to test. Here's an example of a video that we did. This was for a personal finance company. and we were remodeling a tiny kitchen. And here are some examples of pieces of footage that we tested for the opening clip. Oftentimes you can go through your whole video and just take parts from, in the middle of the video, toward the end of your video, and just add that in the very beginning of your video for the first like 2 or 3 seconds as a sort of teaser. And then you can see what performs the best. In this case, the best performing video was video B, which actually surprised me. I thought it was going to be C. A lot of people think it's going to be C because C looks so cute. But B performed the best. Oftentimes motion, especially jerky motion, performs really well because human eyes are wired to be attracted to motion. And also human faces perform really well, especially faces that are upset, faces that aren't as happy. And tip number 10, our final tip, is that video views are worthless unless they drive business. So many people will ask me for a viral video, and I ask them, why do you want a viral video? Ultimately, what you're not really after the views, you're after people actually buying your product. And so whenever we create our videos, we think of them in 2 ways, which is for brand awareness and for conversions. And so it's very hard for one video to do the job of both things. It's hard for a video to be great at brand awareness and at conversions. And so we don't just create videos, but the way we think of it is that we design entire campaigns. And this is how you can think of your videos as well, is you can create a video that's goal is brand awareness, which is the goal is for people to form an emotional connection with your brand. And then you can follow that up with conversion assets, which you can on Facebook target to everyone who is seeing your brand awareness asset. Conversion assets, and those are more hard sells. So this is an example of a brand awareness asset. This video is designed for fun, and it got all these doctors tagging each other, which the goal was to target people for med school loans. And then these are examples of conversion assets, which is get your rate in 2 minutes, more of a hard sell. And by weaving these 2 things together, we're able to hit both objectives. So I am just about at time. Those were the 10 tips. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at hi@karenx.com. And I create video campaigns for companies. And if you have any questions, I'd love to chat with you guys. All right, thank you.
Karen, I loved it. Tip number 10 is also tip number 1. It's like, don't start a video campaign unless you know how it's going to drive impact, real business results. And the theme of this entire event has really been around turning brand into performance in a lot of ways, but keeping the storytelling component. So I think this ties it together extremely nicely. So you created all these videos. There's so many cool things. And by the way, I put your YouTube info, a lot of these Facebook videos here in chat. Really quick before you go and before we close down, what's your take between Facebook and YouTube and maybe Instagram as well, as far as the channels and how to distribute, an ad? I mean, are you creating completely different content for different platforms? Is there one that you think is the best performer?
Yeah, they have different advantages. So definitely right now, Facebook and Google have a duopoly. So if you're making a video and you're running paid media behind it, you're probably using either Facebook/Instagram, same company, or Google/YouTube, same company. YouTube pre-rolls, and YouTube tends to be very, very good at hyper targeting, targeting. You can usually get more finer keyword targeting with YouTube. And then Facebook and Instagram, we tend to see more engagement on Facebook and Instagram just because those platforms are where people are more likely to be interacting. And Facebook in the past has had the highest shareability, but that has been declining in the last year or 2. You do want to optimize for different platforms. So on Instagram and Instagram stories, you probably want to go square vertical. On Facebook, you generally want to go square. And then on YouTube, you need to go widescreen. And so when you shoot, what you basically end up doing is you frame everything dead center. So this way, the way I am right now, I could be framed vertically, I could be framed widescreen, and I could also be framed square. So it affects a lot how you shoot things, and then when you cut things down as well.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of crossovers if I'm boosting on YouTube? Do people share that to Facebook?
No, not so much. And in fact, the Facebook algorithm actively depresses that. Okay. So if you try to copy a YouTube link into Facebook, and share it, you'll notice that you get very, very few likes on that. And that's because Facebook's actually artificially suppressing your media post.
Their direct competitor. I wonder why.
Facebook wants to keep you sharing Facebook stuff.
Yeah, of course, of course. All right, so we've got your email address here. If you guys want to create a video that sells and engages and goes viral, I do recommend Karen, one of the best in the business, as you can see from her extensive collection of videos and the strategy there. And I do completely agree with you on the A/B testing. I'm going to share all of these tips with a video creative I'm working with right now, and we're going to get started on using them for some good videos.
Nice. Awesome.
So thanks so much, Karen, for your time. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to jump into the closing, so I'll let you go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.